What shocking family secret did you uncover? These people found out the truth, and it changed everything. I thought my sister was a millionaire's wife until I found her OnlyFans. My sister always seemed like the successful one. Great grades, perfect body, almost a beauty queen, and of course married to the dream guy. He was older, owned some business, with pics of yachts, villas, shopping in Milan. They looked like a magazine cover. Mom gushed, "If only you could land a catch like that." My sister often helped us with money, sometimes a lot. No one asked where it came from. We were just grateful. Then one day, someone sent me a link. "Hey, isn't this her?" I opened it. An OnlyFans profile, no face, but I knew. Her birthmark, her voice, the apartment in the background, 100,000 subscribers, tens of thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. I froze. First shock, then admiration. She didn't just survive, she built her life. The husband, a cover, a convenient story. When I asked, she didn't deny it, just said, "Don't tell mom. She loves thinking I'm a princess, not a businesswoman." Ironically, she's still the family's pride, just not the one they imagine. I landed my dream job, but my dad secretly paid my salary. When I got hired at the company I dreamed of since high school, I couldn't believe my luck. Great team, cool office, solid paycheck. Everyone welcomed me warmly, and I felt like I'd finally found my place. My parents were proud, especially my dad. He kept saying he always knew I'd make it. A few months later, I was out drinking with his friend, who, a bit tipsy, let slip, "Your dad really pulled some strings." For a gig like that, with a salary from day one, generous. At first I didn't get it, but then I started digging. Turns out my dad didn't just help, he made it happen. The boss was his old college buddy, and for the first few months, my dad was secretly paying my salary through the accounting department. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. "I just wanted you to have a good start," he said. "The rest is up to you." But I felt sick. Everything I thought was my success was staged. Now I look at myself differently, like nothing's real. Our family stew was just $1.79 canned from Walmart. We had this special family recipe, Grandma's Goulash. We made it for holidays, Dad's birthday, or just when we wanted something homey and real. Everyone said it was an old recipe passed down through the women in our family from my great-grandma. My sister and I even wrote down how Mom made it to keep the tradition alive. When I went to college, I wanted to cook it myself. I called Mom and she sent me the ingredient list. One thing stood out, a specific brand of canned stew. "No substitutes," she said. I didn't think much of it. Found it at Walmart, cheap, like $2. When I opened it, I realized this was the secret ingredient. That exact taste I knew from childhood. The one we all raved about as homemade. I called Mom and asked her straight up. She laughed. "It's good, right? Why make it harder?" Our whole family tradition was just a $2 can, and no one ever thought to tell me the truth. My mom married a man who killed his wife, and she knew it. When my mom met my stepdad, I was 12. He seemed quiet, humble, fixed our sink, helped with repairs, brought us pies. It took me a while to warm up, but he tried to fit into our family. They got married a year later. He rarely talked about his past. Mom dodged those conversations too, just saying he'd been through a lot. Then one day, I googled his name, don't even know why. The first link was a court report, murder, his wife, a case from 10 years ago. He served time and got out early for good behavior. I was stunned, thought it was a mistake. I showed my mom, she stared at the screen, stayed quiet, then said, "I knew." I was floored. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because he's changed. Now I live with a man who killed his wife, and a mom who thought I didn't need to know." I thought my uncle was mute for 3 years. Until I heard him talking on the phone. After my grandma died, my uncle moved in with us. He didn't speak at all. Mom said he had severe PTSD, that he'd been through something awful and couldn't talk. We treated him gently. No one pushed him to communicate. He'd nod, shake his head, or write notes. Sometimes he'd just lock himself in his room. 3 years went by. One day I came home early. I heard a man's voice from the kitchen, laughing, chatting on the phone. I peeked in. It was my uncle, talking freely, confidently, like it was nothing. I didn't say anything, just waited till he hung up. When he saw me, he froze. I stayed quiet. He stayed quiet. Later, my mom admitted she'd figured it out a while back. "He just didn't want to work," she said. So he lived with us, no responsibilities. I felt bad for him. Felt bad? I felt bad for 3 years of lies. Every gesture, every note, every time I thought he was suffering. My brother was secretly dating our cousin. For 3 whole years. My brother and I always got along great. We shared everything, laughed together, grew up side by side. He's 5 years older, and I always saw him as honest, real. When he started dating someone, he kept her name a secret. Said stuff like, "You don't know her. It's complicated. I'll tell you later." I didn't push. Figured he'd open up when he was ready. 3 years later, it came out by accident. I saw them at the mall, holding hands. It was our cousin, our actual cousin, mom's sister's daughter. I was stunned. He saw me, came over, and just said, "We love each other. We don't care what anyone thinks." I went home and told our parents. Mom sat on the couch, hands over her face. "I suspected," she whispered, "but I didn't want to know for sure." Dad just left the room. They'd hidden it from everyone for 3 years. Now the family's split. Some say love trumps everything. Others say it's too much. And I just can't wrap my head around how my brother, the most honest guy I knew, kept this from me. I found out my uncle won $12 million. From a YouTube video, I stumbled across him in a random YouTube video. 10 people who became millionaires and lost everything. And there was my uncle, young, wild, posing in front of a yacht. The win, $12 million from the lottery. Next clips, court, debt, divorce, bankruptcy. Then an interview captioned, "Lives with brother, works as a security guard." I was shocked. I showed my parents. They just shrugged. "Oh yeah, that's Bobby. It happened." "It happened?" I said. "He was a millionaire." They glanced at each other. Guess it never came up. Never came up. Like we casually chat about family members who squandered fortunes. Now, every time my uncle says, "Money isn't everything," I want to snap back, especially when you don't have it anymore. I was making a slideshow for mom's birthday and found her in bed with 2 men. I was looking for an old photo of mom for a slideshow for her birthday. Found a box of film slides and decided to scan them. The first one, mom, dad, and some other guy. All 3 hugging, smiling, in bed. I thought, mistake, prank, maybe a movie scene, but it got worse. Photo after photo, vacations for 3, breakfast together, playing Monopoly without clothes. Handwritten caption, "Our summer, 1987. I didn't say anything, just scanned them and saved them separately. A week later at the family dinner, I showed the slideshow. At the end, I slipped in that photo, no comment. Mom choked. Dad said, "Told you she'd find it." Then they both looked at me and said in unison, "You're not grossed out, are you?" I thought my dad was a poor mechanic. Turns out he was rich and laundering money. My whole life, I thought my dad was a mechanic. He had a small auto shop, worked with some guy 10 years older. Barely any customers, but it stayed afloat somehow. He'd come home tired, smelling of oil, eating quietly. Sometimes he'd stay late to finish a car, and we didn't ask questions. We lived simply. Mom counted every penny. I thought that's just how families were. When Dad died, I went through his papers to help Mom. Taxes, accounts, that kind of thing. On his laptop, I found an encrypted folder. I cracked it, almost by accident. Inside, dozens of transactions, transfers, names, weird websites, investments, crypto, detailed chats with strangers. Dad was cooking the books. He had money, big money. I don't know what he really did. I don't know why he hid it. I don't know why he let us think we were scraping by. Sometimes I fall asleep wondering, and I realize I'll never fully know the man I grew up with. I uploaded my photo and found a copy of myself with the same birthday. It started as a joke. I saw a TikTok about people finding lookalikes online, so I tried it. Uploaded an old school photo to a face recognition site. A few minutes later, it found a guy. He was my twin, exactly like me. I checked his profile. Same age, same birthday, same state. I thought it was a prank or someone stealing my pics, but the deeper I dug, the clearer it got. This wasn't a coincidence. He had a different family, different parents. I messaged him. We talked. We sound the same, think the same. We're waiting for official DNA results, but it's obvious. We were switched at birth. Neither of our parents knew. My mom cried when I told her. His still don't know. We're trying to figure out how we lived 25 years in the wrong families and never even felt it. My sister is marrying my ex, and everyone in the family knew. We dated for almost 2 years. It wasn't crazy love, but I thought we were serious. He hung out at our house a lot, got along with my parents, and especially my sister. They'd chat for hours, and I was happy they clicked. After we broke up, we barely talked. I left it in the past. 6 months later, my sister invited me to a family dinner, said she had big news. She was getting married. I was genuinely happy and asked who the guy was. She hesitated, then showed me a photo. It was him, my ex. I got up and left the table. Didn't even know if I felt angry, betrayed, or just embarrassed. Later I found out my parents knew for a while, but they chose not to tell me. We didn't want to ruin the wedding, Mom said. I still don't know how to deal with this. My grandpa was always called a hero until I found out who he really was. In our family, Grandpa was always a hero, a veteran, strong, quiet. On Memorial Day, we hung his photo by the door. Dad always said, if you want to know honor, ask Grandpa. He died when I was 17. After the funeral, I helped Grandma clean the garage. In an old military suitcase, I found an envelope. Inside, letters, newspaper clippings, a note from a woman I didn't know. Everything pointed to him not being a hero. He deserted, changed his name, moved to another state. He had another family, a wife, 2 kids. While he lived with us, he sent them money under a fake name. I didn't tell anyone. Even when Dad kept calling him a role model, I just stopped responding when I heard the word hero. My aunt gave birth to my brother, and no one told us. I have an older brother, 10 years older. We never fought over toys. He taught me to ride a bike, read me comics, covered for me when I skipped class. He was always the big brother in every way, joking, protecting. My parents never gave any hint something was off. When my brother turned 30, his wife got him a DNA kit for fun. A few weeks later, he called me in a panic. His results didn't match our parents. We thought the lab messed up. He retested. I tested too to compare. We were related, but not like full siblings. We went to our parents. Mom was quiet at first, then said, "You weren't born to us. My younger sister gave birth to you. She was 19, had serious health issues. She died when you were 6 months old. We took you in, made it official. No one else knew. Those who did are gone. And then 10 years later, we had your brother. We thought it was better if you just believed you were ours." The irony? He's still ours, but now that the truth's out, we all breathe a little easier. I caught my dad living a second life as someone else's father. I went to the DMV to update my license after a move and accidentally saw a list of cars registered under our last name. One VIN matched the car I drove with my dad as a teen, but the address was different and the owner's name was slightly off. I checked the address, found the car, and waited. A few hours later, Dad came out with an 8-year-old girl. They were laughing. He carried her backpack, just a normal family. On social media, a different last name, a different wife, kids. All this time, he said he was working shifts, gone a month at a time. When he was away, Mom and I waited for calls. Sometimes he didn't even call. He missed my graduation, said he couldn't get off work. Later, I realized he had another kid born that day. He skipped my 16th birthday, no signal. Missed my games, Christmas. I thought he was busy. It was just his other life schedule. I didn't know if I should tell Mom. When I finally did, I expected shock, but she just looked at me and said calmly, "Yeah, I knew, but it's easier this way. He always comes back, and I'm still the first." I didn't respond. Maybe it works for her, but I'm still angry, not for the cheating, for him choosing to be a dad somewhere else. I'll never forgive that, and I don't want to. I thought she was my sister until I saw my birth certificate. My relationship with my sister was always weird. She's 16 years older. She drove me to school, checked my homework, banned late video games. We even shared a room for a while. I didn't get why back then. She acted like a second mom, but sometimes she'd snap, like I reminded her of something she couldn't shake. Mom never scolded her, always backed her up. At 18, I needed my birth certificate for FAFSA. I'd never seen it. Mom kept all the documents. Under mother, it listed my sister's name. I thought it was a mistake. Then I found an old medical record. Pregnancy, 15 years old. Gave birth the same year I joined the family. Grandparents registered me as theirs. Everyone knew, except me. My mom was a perfect housewife and someone else's lover. My mom always said she was a housewife. She cooked, cleaned, drove us to school and back. Dad worked 2 days on, 2 off at a local auto shop carrying the family. We lived simply. Old house, peeling paint, constant garage sales, used cars, frozen meals. When Mom died of a stroke at 26, I handled the paperwork, closed her accounts, checked her email, canceled subscriptions. Then I found a folder. Inside, dozens of photos. Hotels, restaurants, bags, tickets, transfers, payments under her maiden name, from different men, and a secret Gmail, dozens of chats. In one, she wrote, "Family's stable. I say I just run a mom blog. She led a double life for over 12 years. Dad never found out. I didn't tell him, and I won't." Everyone has a story. Now it's your turn. Drop your family secret in the comments. We might feature it next.